Welcome to Finance Weekly. I'm Brenda Lee. Apart from meeting your tax and legal obligations, it can be hard to know where to begin or when to start your own business in New Zealand. GreenApple Production is simply a family-owned business which specialises in wedding videography. Today I'm pleased to join by Nelson Ang, Adobe certified expert in Premiere, to share his story with us. Hi Nelson, pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
So first of all, if you could briefly introduce a little bit about yourself and GreenApple.
Video.
It's a from flight attendant to videographer.
Yes, it's actually that previous jobs that give me the opportunity to travel. And when you travel, when you go to very nice places, you really like to take some memories back. And some people will take photos, and for no particular reason, I just like taking video. Yeah, just started as a hobby.
So instead of taking photos, you have the passion of taking videos.
Yes, taking holiday videos.
Holiday videos, not your cell phone video.
No, not my cell phone videos. I like to take sceneries. I like to take events. Yeah, just whatever that's happening. You know, the motions, the audios, the video stuff, the interactions. Yeah.
So what actually motivates or perhaps innovates you to start your own production house?
Okay, well, it's just a very long journey. I was still fidgeting with it. I was just still enjoying it as a passion, but the computer is just too slow to do it professionally at that time. If you remember, it's 386, 486, and things get better in year 2000, because what actually is I fall in love with it so much that I actually went over to Sydney and took a course on that. And when I came back in 2000, came back to Singapore in 2000, that's where I literally used the rest of my saving and borrow some money from my parents. I still remember it's around $20,000.
Wow.
Spend $10,000 on the computers, another $10,000 on the cameras, and just tell myself, let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yep.
And you have to make it work.
Yes, I've got to make it work. It was, well, tough initially, being nobody and just putting all your life saving into something that's totally new. But putting another instance, I was very, very lucky. In year 2000, the digital video editing industry has just take off. And there's a lot of big companies out there who wants to promote this technology. And I was lucky because I classify myself as the pioneer batch of people who moved from the traditional tapes to computer. And I actually get invited to work with all these big companies. as a spokesperson, trainers, and I follow them on trade shows, road shows, doing a lot of workshops and seminars, sharing my experience using all these so-called new high-tech equipments, and from that it just helped me branches out as a videographer.
So throughout the years, do you face much difficulties, and how do you resolve them eventually?
Okay, so well, in Singapore context, working in the video industry just literally helps me to bring my names out. So I've actually had a lot of students or people who attend my seminars and workshops turn to me and say, hey, Nelson, you shoot wedding. Why don't you shoot my wedding? And a lot of them refers their friends and family to me. So on that sense, I got a slight advantage. And by the time when I come to New Zealand and started doing these wedding videos again, I've literally built up about 4 years work of wedding portfolio. So in fact, for anyone who's trying to come into this industry, the worst part is to get a guinea pig to allow you to shoot the most important time of their life.
Right.
And for me, I was lucky. I already have quite a lot of sample to show my client. But the most important part is, of course, coming to New Zealand. One thing that makes me really worry is about is the seasonal part of the industry. When it comes to winter, it can be a bit quiet. I would say between the month of May to September, it is, I think not much people will get married at this time.
Yeah, because it's raining, it's freezing, it's cold.
Yep. So for anyone who's new to it, it is very panicky, especially when you've just give up a full-time job. Yeah. So you just got to work hard. You just got to tighten your belt and just pull through it. But once if you put your business onto the right track and you work very hard during the peak season, and if you average everything out, you should be able to ride over the entire winter, even maybe afford a good holiday.
So you mentioned from May to September is very quiet, and obviously that can be quite panic for you as a full-time worker, videographer. So how do you manage your stress?
Well, the first advice I would say is that before we start any business, you pretty much you need to really plan ahead. You need to save up, not only for the equipment, you got to save for rainy days, because business doesn't just pick up, just
straight
like
away.
that. Yeah, and you need to find other means of getting other revenue, shooting events, shooting seminars, whatever jobs that you can get. And for me, the lucky part is, of course, I still do a lot of trainings, seminars and workshops. That does help me a lot. And of course, support from the families, like my wife. Yeah, so it's like just tone down on your lifestyle, be realistic, be down to earth, and just keep working hard for the marketing for the new season.
So basically you're saying also not to narrow the door, have it more wide open to leave you more options.
Yes, well, when I first started, yes, I literally do all different type of work. I even went over to shoot 4x4 wheels racing. To me, it's interesting. It's a good variety to just wedding. You get really dirty. You go down deep into the mud. You got to shoot in the rainy days, and you have all these 4-wheel drives just fly past past you. But it's just part of the job. But it's still fun. It's still fun. Yeah.
So would you say you don't regret quitting your full-time job?
Absolutely not. Not a single moment I regretted that. That was one of the best decisions I made. Yeah.
Thank you, Nelson.
Thank you.
Now let's take a short break and we'll be back very shortly. Welcome back to Finance Weekly. So now, Nelson, in what way do you think GreenApple production contribute to New Zealand's local economy and perhaps the local community?
Okay, this is the tricky questions. Being a very small business, I would not be able to say that I have big contributions to the economy and the society. But what I believe is that being majority of Asian here in New Zealand, we are a bunch of hardworking and law-abiding people. We work very hard. We pay our taxes, whether in the form of a daily job or running a small business. But at the end of the day, we are very independent. We don't depend on the government. And maybe it's a characteristic of us is we try not to be a burden to the society. And in that sense, I would say this would be at least the minimum, any individuals in the society can contribute back to the economy. Yeah.
How about to the local community?
For wedding-wise, I won't be able to relate a very good case scenario, but if we talk about volleyball, then we can.
Your hobby.
Yeah, that's another side. Another lifetime hobby. Then we definitely, our clubs are doing a lot for the local Chinese community. Yeah.
From my understanding, I know that there are actually a lot of competitions out there in the market, and especially New Zealand's market is quite small comparing to other countries around the world. Like perhaps they offer cheaper rate and with a lot more services. Do you see it kind of as a threat?
It's definitely, it is. This kind of competition is always there. Any what we call the newbies, newcomers, when they try to penetrate the markets, it's always started out with price. But for us, who has been in the market for a long time, it's all about upholding our quality of work. What I believe is always word of mouth. Always do the best for your client. And the word of mouth is actually worth more than thousands of dollars spent on advertisement.
Yeah, because it's the reputation.
And absolutely. And in fact, until now, I would easily say that 80% of my business still comes on word of mouth. So just believe in one simple thing, work very hard, do a very good job, and you will be rewarded.
So you don't think lowering your margin to meet the market demand, or to compete with what you call the newbies, is ideal for the business market, right?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It's pretty much killing a business. For business to grow, there must be a certain price range that you must feel comfortable in. And yes, when we first started out, yes, I would have to admit that price is definitely a very attractive factor. And but once you see the business start growing, that's where I think we need to position ourselves to differentiate ourselves from being a full-time business compared to what we call a freelancer or what we call a weekend warriors. Just people who do it on the weekend and they still have a full-time job.
So how would you position, or how do you rank yourself in this market?
I would say I would position myself in the intermediate level. I don't price myself that high, but definitely I'm not in the lower competitive range, because that is very tough. That region is very tough. It's very competitive, lots of work, very demanding customers. I'd rather to be in a different market niche.
But then, like you mentioned, opening the market not only just to Asians. A lot of local Kiwis here, they are very into videography, like you say, capturing the most important time in their life, and also family videos. It's like a memory. So that's probably can do you good business.
Yes, you are actually right, because I still remember since the first day to now, 99% of my clientele is actually local Kiwi, with only 1% Asian. Yeah. And of course, for the last 2 years lately, then the ratios just changed to around 90% Kiwi, 10% Asian. Yeah, so potentially a lot of my business clienteles are all Kiwi markets. Yeah.
So from your own experience, and what sort of criteria or regulations you have to meet when you open or start up your business?
Actually, there's not many regulations. I mean, first thing that comes across my mind is when I'm going to start a business is call my accountant.
Right.
Yeah, accountant is one of the accountant, lawyer, and bankers will be very important people in our life when we start a business. So I've called my accountants, and which also a good friend of mine, and says, hey, I'm going to start a business. Can you sort out all the paperwork for me? And I'll just leave it to him. He registered the company for me. As long as I file in all the paperwork properly, he get it all done. So that will be the right person.
So
to
they
turn
are
to.
the guardian angels.
Yes, they are the guys that are working at the backstage, and yeah, because a lot of people like us, we really don't like to deal with the paperwork,
Especially guys.
Yes, especially guys. So having accountants, having a lawyer, having a bankers who can sort out all this administrative part is very important.
So from your experience, I know it might be a little bit personal, do you reckon or do you find that Asian business, Asians operating a business here in New Zealand market, is it more difficult or more competitive when you compare with the local business and market?
Interestingly, no, not at all. As I say, when I first started out, I had almost 99% of my clients are all Kiwis. I think the most important factor is that it's the language. As long as you can communicate your ideas, as long as they understand you, they're happy with. Well, the interesting part about Kiwi is that they must like your work. If they like your work and they find that your pricing suits their budget, is the deal done. It's a very straightforward kind of situation. And for me, it's like I'm a new migrant, so I don't watch Shortland Street.
Right.
I don't understand local lingo.
Right.
But as long as they feel comfortable communicating with you, striking a rapport, yes. I mean, till now, I still have a lot of Kiwi friends and Kiwi clientele.
Kiwis and Asians, they have very different cultures.
Yes.
Mindset as well. So when you deal with different clients, what sort of strategy do you use?
Well, the biggest difference I can say of my mind is the Kiwis basically just they're very straightforward. As I said before, I mean, if your pricing meets their budgets,
and they like your work.
They like the work, and the deal is done. When it comes to Asians, it can be a bit more demanding. There will be a lot of hassling, there will be a lot of bargaining involved, and I need to put it in a very nice, polite way that I do not negotiate on the price,
Right.
which is very typical way of how Kiwi run their business. Yeah, so that is something that I need to educate them, and of course when for the local Kiwis, when they really trust you with their wedding days, they really trust your professionalism, they really cherish your work. But for Asians clientele, maybe you need to involve a bit more.
Be a little bit more interactive.
Yes, in terms of the post-production side, they might have some little bit of weird requests here and there. But yeah, that's predominantly the differences. Yeah.
But like say you're Singaporean, so would you say because when Asian people see you're Asian, like, or even for example when Chinese sees you're Asian, they automatically assume that bargaining is doable?
Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, because I come from Singapore, and I would say that Singapore being a colonized country previously, the way that we function, the way we run business is very similar to Kiwi. Yeah, we just lay down the figures, that's the one, that's the terms and conditions, and we work from them. But if you go to Thailand, India, China, then you realize that the price that's on the prices is actually not the actual one.
All right.
You need to haggle for about maybe even up to 50%.
Right.
That is something, even for me until now, I still cannot understand it. So I try to stay from it, away from it. I try to make my price as transparent as possible, and also let my customers know that what you're paying is pretty much exactly the same as what the next customer is paying. So there's no guessing games involved.
So fair deals.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for young generations who would like to start their own business, any advice or tips you can share?
Mentally and financially. Financially, you definitely need to save up for your equipment, save up for your business, your operating costs for your business. You might even want to save up for a course. You might want to enroll yourself to a course, a short course, to a local technology schools or even the uni. And I'm not saying that you must, but it's good to go over there to get yourself acquainted to all this knowledge. And the most important part is the connection. You get to know a bunch of people who share the similar passion, and it's networking from there. And in terms of the mental side, you need to have a bit of business planning. You need to really work very hard. But attitude is one thing that I had to add in, most important of all. I mean, being the old school, I would say that when I work with the younger generation, I realized that there's a couple of characteristics that that's going to slow them down in terms of building up a business. I think one big characteristic is a bit too laid back in terms of like punctuality, in terms of meeting deadline. They are not that serious. I mean, a good case example would be like if I'm supposed to be at the ceremonial area at 12 o'clock, I would like to be there at least half an hour earlier. That gave me some allowance for maybe traffic or even the cars breaking down. And I tell myself, being there earlier will give me some time to really maybe just rest, close my eyes, rest, and
reassure everything is okay.
Yeah, charge myself out and ready for showtime. But when I deal with the younger generation, I realize that they will straight away go to Google Map and find out, oh, it takes only 30 minutes for my house to get to the place. And they will leave their house right on the dot, 30 minutes. And when they're late, they will blame it on the car, they blame it on the traffic. And this might not be a really good attitude when you're dealing with a client. Same thing goes with post-production. I mean, in my 14 years of editing career, I have never missed a deadline. When I promise a client 4 weeks, I'll make sure that that is my top priority. I'll make sure that it's being done before I do something else. But I do have scenario whereby when I deal with the younger generation, they will go for holiday, they'll go for skiing, and they might just live to the last 3 days. Then they will start fanatically trying to finish the job, or even to the extent of the clients calling them up and says, hey, you know, it's been already over the deadline. You know, when do I get to see my final products? And obviously, when you do in this kind of stressful scenario, you're not going to do a good job.
No.
And my advice for them is that you've got to change a bit of your mindset. You've got to be really serious if you want to do it in a full-time manner.
So always reflect yourself.
Yes. Yep.
So any goals or ambition for the near future?
I would like to stay healthy and happy.
That's probably the most important.
Yes. It's in the mind of whether should we expand the business into a corporation where you get more and more people to work for you, or should we just stay it and run it like a family business? And at the end of the day, my decision is that I like the way it is. I like to continue to shoot. I hope that I can still be able to shoot 10 years down the road. That's why I need myself to be healthy. And if I can continue doing that, I'll be happy as well. Of course, with the business onto the right track, hopefully that will give you more time to have more holidays.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nelson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in today. All right, thank you for watching Finance Weekly. We'll see you next week at the same time.